Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. I wanted to do a main channel video real fast. It's on Heaven's Gate. I wrote a script for it, so we're going to go through the script, and then we'll get into, like, the UFOs and stuff. I mean, the other UFO stuff with the Christian nationalists and Lauren Boebert and all that. Let me just try to fix my camera here a bit. I feel like it's not quite centered. Weird. All right. Let's read it, shall we? In 1996, a group of 39 people living in a rented mansion in Southern California checked out together. Before they did, they wrote a 350-page book about who they were and what they were doing while... Wait, God, I wrote this really weird. I phrased this in an odd way. I'm sorry. About who they were and why they were doing what they were doing. The group was known as Heaven's Gate. They called the book their farewell legacy. The book is still up. I read it. Let's talk about what's in it. This book is not one text. It's an anthology. It's a collection of everything the group produced over a 20-year span. Recruitment flyers, behavioral codes, transcripts of a satellite TV show, internet postings, personal essays from members, even a full-page ad they took out in USA Today. They arranged it all chronologically and published it as a single volume. Their own curated archive. How they wanted their story told. Heaven's Gate was founded by Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. They met in Houston in 1972. Applewhite was the son of a Presbyterian minister. He'd been a music professor at the University of St. Thomas until he was fired over an alleged relationship with a male student. His wife had already left him over multiple affairs with men. He was in a bad place. Nettles was a nurse with an interest in theosophy. Nettles was a nurse with an interest in theosophy, astrology, and biblical prophecy. There's a loud car. She introduced him to the New Age world, channeling, ascended masters, all of it. And the two of them went on this extended spiritual journey that ended with them concluding they were the two witnesses from Revelation 11. They gave themselves matching code names, Guinea and Pig, Bo and Peep, and finally, T and Doe. The theology they built together is where it gets interesting, because this is not a generic New Age UFO. Because this wasn't a generic New Age UFO group. Benjamin Zeller, the main academic who studied this movement, calls what they did extraterrestrial biblical hermeneutics. They were Christians. God is an extraterrestrial, the chief administrator of Earth. Jesus was a member of the next level, their term for heaven, which is a literal physical place in outer space. Who incarnated into a human body to show people the way out. I'm sorry, I read that weird. Jesus was a member of the next level, their term for heaven, which is a literal physical place in outer space, who incarnated into a human body to show people the way out. Angels are next-level crew members. Satan is a fallen crew member. Miracles are alien technology that ancient people didn't have the vocabulary to describe. The Transfiguration, the moment in the Gospels where Jesus glows and God speaks from a cloud, that's Jesus being picked up by a UFO. All right, let me zoom in so I can see this more clearly. And they used a King James Red Letter Bible, the most conservative Protestant translation you can pick. Zeller makes the point that this is fundamentally a Christian movement read through a New Age lens, not the other way around. The framework was Protestant. The interpretive key is ufology. They started recruiting in 1975, held public meetings, drew crowds. A sociologist named Robert Bloch actually infiltrated the group that year, and his key finding is important. People didn't join because People didn't join because of love bombing or social pressure. There wasn't time for that. They heard the pitch, had a follow-up meeting the next day, and decided. They joined because the message clicked. Almost all of them came from the New Age subculture, people already into reincarnation, psychic powers, and UFOs. They brought those assumptions with them, and T and Doe gave them a framework that organized all of it into something coherent. The behavioral codes in the book, referred to as the 17 steps and major and lesser offenses, resemble a blend of military regulations and monastery rules. A banner in their house said, "In a classroom 24 hours a day." These people had systematically stripped away every marker of individual human identity over almost 20 years. Gender, sexuality, family, desire, and personal appearance were all sanded down. This is pretty common in high-control groups. You can't convince someone their body is a disposable vehicle if they still feel like it belongs to them. They were trying to evoke a sense of unrest, body dysmorphia. By 1976, they'd closed recruitment and taken their followers underground. For the next 17 years, they lived as a roving monastery. Total separation from the outside world. No sex, identical clothing and haircuts to minimize gender differences. Everyone got a new name with the suffix "odi." Soroti, Genodi, Lavoti. They renamed their kitchen Nutrilab. Laundry was the Fiber Lab. The office was the CompuLab. Fucking crazy, dude. Applewhite was the captain, like Picard. It was a Star Trek cult. Their 1993 USA Today ad uses Trek language. Away team, captain, admiral. Their overview of their own theology tells readers to think of them in Star Trek terms. And Genodi, one of the most prolific writers in the group, her last words in her exit video before she checked out were 39 to beam up. I'll stick that in the video when I eventually edit this. They didn't just reference Star Trek. They structured their entire community around it. Things started getting confusing for the group when Bonnie Nettles died of liver cancer in 1985. The original theology said members would physically transform and board a spacecraft in their living bodies. That was the plan. And the senior member, the one Applewhite always said was more advanced than him, the older member, dies in a hospital bed from cancer. Applewhite's response is one of the cleanest examples of cognitive dissonance management I've ever seen. T didn't die. Her body had served its purpose. She returned to the next level above human, as they called it, ahead of schedule, and now communicates with Doe telepathically. Her early departure was designed into the mission before she incarnated. The power shift was massive. Before 1985, T was the acknowledged superior. After her death, Doe is the sole authority on Earth, and the only person who outranked him is now only accessible through him. Nobody else can verify what T is saying. Between 1988 and 1994, they try to re-engage the world. They mail out a booklet. They do a 12-part satellite TV series. They take out a USA Today ad. And then in 1994, they go on a massive cross-country recruitment tour. 4 groups traveling simultaneously. Texas, California, the Pacific Northwest, the Mountain West, the South, the Midwest, and New England. After years of work, thousands of miles, 13 hours of satellite broadcasts, and a full-page newspaper ad, about 7 genuinely new people joined and stayed. The rest were people who'd been in the group before and came back. And the recruitment posters got darker as the tour went on. The first one in November 1993 was relatively tame. Quote, "The only way out of this corrupt world," unquote. By June 1994, it was, "He's back. We're back. Where will you stand?" And the last poster, August 1994, says, "The shedding of our borrowed human bodies may be required in order to take up new bodies belonging to the next world." That was their recruitment poster. They were handing that to strangers. Their final public meeting was in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, August 13th, 1994. The only person who showed up was a recruiter, and a former member recalls Applewhite saying, "Well, I guess it's time for us to quit holding meetings for a while." A month later, Applewhite gathers his followers in a warehouse in San Clemente, California. There's an empty chair next to him for tea, and he tells them, just as Jesus willingly allowed himself to be killed, they might need to discard their bodies to enter the next level. Then he asks, "What if we had to exit our vehicles by our own choice? Did we have a problem with that?" One person objects and leaves immediately. A second person leaves shortly after. The remaining 36 say yes. And then they start preparing. They buy a copy of Derek Humphrey's book, Final Exit. It's a how-to guide for assisted suicide, written for terminally ill patients. They follow the instructions almost exactly. Powdered barbiturates in food, strong alcohol, plastic bag. Humphreys, I'm trying not to be too graphic with this. Humphreys says it's 100% certain, quote unquote. They originally considered provoking a government raid and going out in a shootout. They even bought guns for the occasion. But Final Exit advises against firearms because bullets can maim instead of kill. So they locked the guns in storage and went with the chemical method. They substituted applesauce for pudding. That's the only deviation from the book's instructions. Around the same time, 1994 to 1995, some members start getting castrated. The first one was performed by a group member named Lavodi, a registered nurse who'd worked as an assistant to an how do I pronounce this? Orchiectomist. Who'd worked as an assistant to an orchiectomist. She did the surgery in San Clemente, not in a hospital. No, that's poorly worded. I'm sorry. She did the surgery in San Clemente, but not in a hospital. They set up a sterile room and put a sign on the door that said Mexico. It was a cover story. They knew it could be prosecuted as a crime. And Sawyer, a former member who was supposed to be next, says Doe canceled his procedure after complications from the surgery. Let me add to that, actually. Let's go well. It's straightforward. Somebody who knows how to do it, but this was a nurse, not a doctor. It didn't go well. It's really straightforward, apparently, for somebody who knows how to do it, but this is a nurse, not a doctor. Later, Applewhite himself went to actual Mexico to have a doctor do it. Other members went to Boulder, Colorado. American doctors wouldn't perform the procedure on healthy men. 8 of the 39 people who died were found to have been castrated at autopsy, including Applewhite. Zeller points out that you don't undergo elective surgery with a long, painful recovery if you're planning to die soon. The castration suggests the group was still planning to be around for a while when the castrations happened. The final decision to exit came later. And the book barely mentions any of this. Applewhite writes, quote, "Some in this class have chosen on their own to have their vehicles neutered." He uses the word neutered, not castrated. He framed it as a personal lifestyle choice. But in the satellite TV transcript, which make up most of the book, there's a long section where he compares it to spaying pets so they can focus on serving their owners. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. This is such a wild story. They also tried the internet. In the fall of 1995, they posted their theology to almost 100 Usenet groups. That was basically the internet's messaging board system at the time. They posted to Star Trek forums, science fiction forums, alternative spirituality forums, current events forums. The response was brutal. On the Star Trek boards, quote, "That was about the dumbest thing I've seen yet," unquote. An astronomer told them to prove they were aliens. One person seemed sympathetic and then ended it with a joke. Most posts got 0 replies. Later on, a former member told researchers, quote, "We just were not able to interface with the public. It was time to leave," unquote. And buried in those Usenet posts is something wild. Applewhite explicitly tells anyone who wants to join him to buy firearms, get comfortable using them, and prepare for a government raid. He expected federal agents to take them out, like what happened to the Branch Davidians at Waco. That was still the preferred exit scenario for them in late 1995. They didn't want to check out. They wanted to be martyred. But nobody was coming for them. Nobody cared. And that's what pushed them over the edge, the paradox. Applewhite wrote a document called Our Position Against Suicide, posted it to the group's website, and in it he listed 4 ways they might leave Earth: physical pickup by a spacecraft, natural death, government persecution, or, quote, willful exit of the bodies in a dignified manner, unquote. Option 1 was increasingly unlikely. Option 2 was too slow. Option 3 wasn't happening. So option 4 moved to the top. The lack of persecution is what made option 4 necessary. If the government had raided them, they wouldn't have needed to do it themselves. All right, I already said that. I'm cutting that. Sorry. Then the Hale-Bopp comet showed up. In late 1996, an amateur astronomer claims he photographed, quote, a Saturn-like object, unquote, following the comet. Professional astronomers debunked it immediately. But Art Bell, the conspiracy radio host, gives it hours of airtime. A remote viewer claimed it was an alien spacecraft, and the members of Heaven's Gate, who'd been drifting deeper into conspiracy media for years, saw exactly what they'd been waiting for. The spacecraft behind the comet was coming to pick them up, but they needed to leave their bodies first. Then it happened. They checked out on March 22nd and 23rd, 1997. They did it in 3 waves over 2 days. They mixed phenobarbital into applesauce. They drank vodka, and they had plastic bags. Each wave cleaned up after the previous one, removed the bags, placed purple shrouds over the bodies, and arranged them in their beds. Purple was T's favorite color. Everyone wore identical black clothing with Nike Decades. The shoe sells for a premium on eBay today because of this event. Each person had a $5 bill and 3 quarters in their pocket. This is standard group practice. Always carry enough for a phone call or a bus fare. Always carry enough for a phone call or a bus fare. Each had a small packed bag beside their bed. I can't imagine why they thought the bag was necessary. I can't imagine what they thought the bag was for if they weren't even taking their bodies with them. They'd sewn custom patches onto their uniforms. Heaven's Gate away team. One last Star Trek reference. So here's what reading that book is actually like, knowing all of this. It's a permission structure. Every document in that anthology adds one more brick to a wall that justified checking out. In 1975, the pitch is simple. Human bodies are just vehicles. The soul is what matters. The goal is to leave the human kingdom. By the mid-1980s, T's death-proved bodies can be discarded, and the mission continues. By the early 90s, Doe was the sole voice, lecturing for hours on satellite TV about how the world is corrupt and controlled by demonic aliens. By 1994, the posters say shedding your body might be required. By 1995, he's comparing himself to Jesus dying at 33 and telling people to buy guns. By 1996, the word suicide has been redefined. In the book, it means turning against the next level, not ending your own life. Staying on Earth is suicide. Leaving is graduation. Each step is small. Each step follows logically from the last. And by the time you reach the end of the anthology, the conclusion feels inevitable. Not because you agree with it, but because you can see how someone inside the system convinced themselves of it. There we are. Balk and Taylor, the 2 sociologists who studied the group the longest, put it this way. Quote, the suicides resulted from a deliberate decision that was neither prompted by that was neither prompted by an external threat nor implemented through coercion. Members went to their deaths willingly, even enthusiastically, because suicide made sense to them in the context of a belief system that, with few modifications, dated back to T and Do's initial revelations, unquote. These weren't stupid people. They weren't kidnapped. A lot of them had professional careers before they joined. The ones who stopped believing left. The ones who stayed believed it. The easy version of this story is that Applewhite was a con man and his followers were gullible. But con men don't usually check out alongside their marks. He went on the second day. He ate the applesauce. He believed it too. The harder version, the one the evidence actually supports, is that this was a closed system with internally consistent logic, maintained by people who were genuinely committed to it, and the system led somewhere that no one on the outside would ever go. But if you were on the inside, every step made sense. The world rejected them. They rejected the world. The body was temporary. The soul was permanent. Departure was graduation, and the comet was the bus. That's theology taken to its logical conclusion inside a sealed environment. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Because the mechanism, build a closed community, strip away inside attachments, redefine death as victory, and give one person uncheckable authority to interpret the will of God, that's not unique to Heaven's Gate. The scale was different. The vocabulary was different. The spaceship was different. But it's the same architecture that shows up in group after group after group. The book they left behind is the evidence, not of madness, but of a belief system that was coherent enough to make 39 people conclude that the most rational thing they could do was to eat applesauce laced with barbiturates. My Microsoft Word just crashed on me, and I lost my place. I'm sorry. Let me pull it back up. 1 second. Scripts, Heaven's Gate. Waiting. Okay. Where was I? The website is still up, heavensgate.com, maintained by 2 former members who were given custody of the group's intellectual property before the ending of the story. They still believe. This is the website if you guys were curious. Top tier shit. So does Sawyer, the guy who was supposed to be the second person castrated in that room in San Clemente with the Mexico sign on the door. He left the group because he couldn't stop touching himself. Seriously. It was a personal moral failing in his mind that precluded him from being involved. But he still thinks T and Doe were exactly who they claimed to be. The book ends with a list of Bible quotes. The book ends with a list of Bible quotes the group used to justify their position. That's the last thing in the appendix. As if the final message is, we showed you the evidence, the rest is up to you. John 10:17-18. Therefore doth my Father love me, because I lay down my life, that I might take it again. No man taketh it from me, but I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. That's Jesus talking about his own death as a voluntary act. They're claiming the same authority. Mark 13:20. And except that the Lord shorten those days, none shall be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he has chosen, he hath shortened the days. That's the urgency justification. The window is closing. There's a loud car waiting for them to pass. That person's so fucking cool. I can tell they're cool because they're revving their engine and blowing my fucking eardrums out, you know? That's how you can always identify a cool person. Or like playing 50 Cent so loud that it's like making my head vibrate. That's like a dead sign, a sure sign that this person is really fucking cool. You know they're cool. You don't need to know the person beyond that. Anyway, sorry. That's the urgency justification. The window is closing. The days are being cut short. Only the elect will make it. 1 Corinthians 7:29. Let those who have wives live as though they had none. Justifies severing all family bonds. Revelation 14:13. Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord. That's the last one they listed. 7 words. No commentary needed from their perspective. It just sits there. Anyway, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching, guys. All right, awesome. That was pretty short, I felt, right? Was that super short? 25 minutes? Websites reminding you of the internet back in the day? Yeah. Well, of course, that's how they made money. They were web developers. They all lived in, what was it? Rancho Santa Fe, something or other, or whatever. They lived in a big mansion together, like 30-something of these people. And they paid the bills through web development. And as you can see, they did a bang-up job. I'm sure their clients were very satisfied. Anyway, wild fucking story, dude. Jesus Christ. Absolutely wild story. All right. Let's hit the first actual video. Let's see. Heaven's Gate leader. Wait. Heaven's Gate initiation tapes. Marshall Applewhite Doe claims Christ reincarnation offers exclusive planetary evacuation. And delete the old one. Awesome. All right. Tabs. Okay, so let's hit the UFO story first. Because, it just kind of naturally follows after that. Okay, good. Donald Trump released the UFO files recently, and the Republican right is... I don't know how to describe what they're doing. Listen to Lauren Boebert talk about them.
God is the creator of the universe. He's never not going to create. So it's always...
Hold on. One more thing before we get into it. There was nothing of real interest in the UFO files. It was just like other odd things that people saw. There's no proof of like alien life. We don't have like a creature in a lab or any of that other stuff. Who knows? Maybe there are more UFO files. I honestly don't think we've been visited by aliens. If aliens were going to visit, they would send a drone, not like show up in person. And if they did show up in person, then they would be down here shaking our hands.
Always been...
Hold on.
God is the creator of the universe. He's never not going to create. So it's always been something in my mind to...
Whoa. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I thought God finished creating and then rested on the 7th day. What are you talking about? Do you even know theology?
God is the creator of the universe. He's never not going to create. So it's always been something in my mind to say, well, how can we be the only ones? Like, God's not going to stop creating just with us. But the more I look into this, the more I see the Old Testament and what was told to us there of fallen angels and Nephilim.
Yeah.
I mean, this is in the Bible.
Right.
There's nothing that says that fallen angels, that Nephilim just disappeared.
Right.
And so I believe that this could be an aspect of it. There are things that we have seen that could resemble...
Oh, shit, I'm muted. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you for telling me. How long have I been muted? My response to Boebert, I assume?
And Nephilim. Yeah. It's always...
All right, let me start over.
been something in my mind to say, creator of the universe. He's never not going to create. So
wait a minute. I thought God stopped creating and rested on the 7th day, right? What are you talking about? He's never not going to create. He literally stopped creating. But you know what? If you want to believe that, like, God created aliens or whatever, I don't give a fuck. That's perfectly fine with me. As long as you, like, accept aliens. But okay, let's continue.
It's always been something in my mind to say, well, how can we be the only ones? Like, God's not going to stop creating just with us. But the more I look into this, the more I see the Old Testament and what was told to us there of fallen angels and Nephilim. I mean, this is in the Bible. There's nothing that says that fallen angels, that Nephilim just disappeared.
Yes, there is. Didn't the flood happen to get rid of the Nephilim? Am I misremembering? I'm pretty sure that the flood was to get rid of the Nephilim, right?
And so I believe that this could be an aspect of it. You know, there are things that we have seen that could resemble portals, and you know,
like what? You're seeing portals?
I mean, we serve an infinite God, a God of the universe.
Did she just say an impotent God? We serve an impotent God? Is that what she just said? I'm going to step back. I am so hoping that's what she said.
Portals. And, you know, I mean, we serve an infinite God, a God.
Okay, I think she said infinite. I got to be intellectually honest here. I like mine better.
Of the universe, and to say that this is the only realm is ignorant. And so what I've seen, I wouldn't, you know, put it as, you know, Marvin the Martian kind of thing. But I do believe that this is more spiritual, and if you really want to go there, demonic.
Okay, fascinating. Jesus fucking Christ. It's demons. It has to be demons, right?
Wouldn't, you know, put it as, you know,
hold on,
that this is the only realm. We serve an infinite God, just disappeared.
She mentioned portals a minute ago. There's this whole portal story with Robin Bullock that I caught him in a lie over. Let me show you. Where is it?
But I was...
Wait a minute.
Give me...
Yeah, here. So Robin Bullock, dude on the bottom here. This is probably what Lauren Boebert is referring to, the demonic portal, okay? This made a huge splash in evangelical circles when this happened. Supposedly, let me rephrase. Roger Stone here, top right, came up with this claim. He found some picture with this little, you know, image artifact on screen. I'm looking for it. Where is it? Image here. This is it. This is actually from Roger Stone's thing that he showed everybody on this Facebook stream or whatever. He said that this is a demonic portal that had opened over the White House when Biden was in office. And he was working with Robin Bullock to pray for the portal to be closed and all kinds of insane shit. Just listen to them introducing this portal and trying to find some way to deal with this from a spiritual perspective.
Give me a couple lines of a prayer, Robin, that would say...
Hold on, let me turn it up.
Give me a couple lines of a prayer, Robin, that would say how to pray to close this thing. Because if millions of people hear this, what would they say to pray? What would they need to pray?
Satan is only afraid of one thing. Remember this. Faith begins where the will of God is known.
Faith begins where the will of God is known. Faith begins where the... does that... I mean, those words individually make sense, but when placed next to each other, don't really make sense, right? Is it just me?
Faith will start where you know the will of God. That's where it begins.
I don't understand what the fuck that means. Belief in something without evidence begins where you know the will of God. What?
So we have to stand up and quote the word, like Philippians 2, 9, 10, and 11. Jesus has been given a name which is above every name, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, of things in heaven, things in earth, things under the earth, and every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Now, you spirit of hell residing in that portal trying to get through into this earth, I bind you in the name of Jesus. I deny your access to this planet. You cannot come through it, and you have to bow your knee to the name of Jesus. Now you're talking about something that can actually stop him.
Awesome.
If you're just going to get on the ground and beg God to do something, forget it. He's already done it.
Isn't that literally what you're doing by praying for this portal to close? So anyway, this video came out in 2022, April 26th, 2022, right? 2 years later, March 20th, 2024, he goes on this evangelical, I don't know, like TV channel or whatever, and tells her a completely different story about this portal.
It's Baal worship.
Hold on, let me turn this one up too.
It's Baal worship. So we've come down. See, that day we called down, I said, Lord, send the fire, the Elijah moment. Then this portal forms over the White House.
Now he's saying he opened this portal. He is responsible for this portal that Roger Stone found above the White House. Isn't that interesting? This is one of the ways in which I am absolutely certain that these people are completely full of shit and know that they are lying and are lying intentionally with the goal of deceiving the people around them. It's not just like, oh, they're just fucking idiots and they fall for stupid shit. No, they are intentionally deceiving people. That shit is dirty, right? Is this the portal Lauren Boebert was referring to? We've got all these demonic portals, or I guess this one is a heavenly portal, right? Anyway, she's not the only one talking about demons and portals and UFOs and shit like that. This one is Kat Kerr. If you don't know her, buckle up.
There are no aliens, people. That might crush your hopes for a new planet to live on. And but there are demons that live on some of the vacant planets or planets nobody knows anything about.
There are demons that live on other planets.
They try to take over it. However, the Father always sends. This is something you have not talked about. The Father has an army. We know that in heaven. Yes. Some of them who've been major warfare has been outside the realm of the world called heaven. And he will go by and cleanse these planets all the time that Satan is trying to take over and do things on, or convince people that there were aliens and we're going to welcome you here.
Yes.
If you are asked by any being that's not a human being, you test that spirit. If a spirit comes and walks through your wall and said, oh, I'm here to take you to great places. I want to show you something new Jesus is doing, so come with me. Don't you dare go anywhere until you say these words. Mm-hmm. Are you of the spirit of the Most High God who sent his son to die for the sins of this world? Mm-hmm. If it is demonic, it can't answer you. It cannot lie.
Yeah, so I guess demons follow police rules. If they're a cop, they have to tell you, or it's entrapment, right? It's the same with demons. If it's a demon, it's got to tell you, or it's entrapping, or it's entrapment, right? That checks out. I get it now. I didn't get it before. Thank you, Kat Kerr, for clarifying that for me. How long have I been going? Do I have time for another clip? Jack Hibbs has talked about this exact thing regarding demons. Absolutely insane, bro.
So you would normally think, UFOs, I knew it from other planets, all this.
I'm sorry, let me turn it up. I should just set the default volume to double here.
So you would normally think, UFOs, I knew it from other planets, all this stuff. Wow, Fox Mulder was right, X-Files, yes. George Jetson, I get it. And yet I think that what is truly behind all this stuff is what has been truly behind everything. I do not, for the record, I do not believe in creatures from other worlds. I do not believe in other planets. I don't believe in these creatures are visiting us from other places.
So he says that they're demons. He thinks they're demons.
I believe it's demonic, demons, fallen angels, because you have no idea, nor do I, what a fallen angel is. You don't know what they can produce. You don't know what they can create. Well, Jack, we have UFO materials that have been collected from crash sites.
No, we don't. We never did. He is such a conspiracy theorist, dude. This drives me nuts.
I understand that. That has been scientifically tested.
No, it hasn't.
I just believe the origin is an act of deception by Satan to get people duped.
You know what's interesting about this? How do these people deal with the fact that aliens exist? I mean, we don't know that for sure yet, right? But say aliens visit Earth and they are sharing their technology and we have a collaborative relationship. This is before, we try to nuke them into oblivion, of course. Imagine what happens. How do Christians explain that? Are they going to have their own copy of the Bible? And if they do have a version of the Bible and it's completely different from ours, what do Christians do with that? How do they reconcile with that? What if they have never heard of any of this and it's all just, they're like, this sounds totally made up. What then? What if they can prove religion is fake? Like objectively, factually prove that this is the mechanism in our brain that is making this take place, and we can just tweak this a little bit and it's no longer there. What do they do then? These people have apparently had time to think about it, and I guess they settled on they're demons. Absolutely wild. Tell me what you think in the comments. Lauren Boebert. Okay, so I got the UFOs. It's done. Let's hit Julie Green next. She is a wild one, that is for sure. Okay. None of these are the new one. That's weird. Did I not include it? Hold on. What did I do with the Julie Green clip? Here. Okay, got it. This is wait, let me find out what let me find out if Jackson LeMayer is running for anything right now. Let me just look this up. This is Jackson LeMayer on the right. He's a QAnoner. Okay. On the left is Julie Green. She is a Trump theologist who believes that he's been sent by Jesus to bring about God's kingdom on earth or some insane stuff. And on the right is Jackson LeMayer, who is running for Oklahoma's 1st congressional district. He's a QAnoner and absolutely out of his gourd. Listen to the conversation these two nutter butters of epic proportions had with each other.
When we see that President Trump is going to rededicate this nation to God, I want to ask you to explain to people what this truly means and what's on the heart of our president for this rededication to God.
Yeah, well, to your point.
Okay, I haven't heard that Trump was planning to rededicate the U.S. to God, but first of all, it was never dedicated to God, so go fuck yourself. And second, you have no right to dedicate it to God. You can dedicate it in your own, you can dedicate it in your own mind, but a lot of people live here of all different backgrounds.
our nation was dying. In fact, the only way you can have a resurrection is something has to die. And our nation, I mean, from 2021 to 2024, that was a bad time. That was the death part.
Are you fucking kidding me? What bad happened in this guy's mind that was a direct result of Joe Biden between 2021 and 2024? Biden was almost not in the news at all. He was just going about his business, doing his president thing, and we were just living our lives. And every now and then, some insane shit popped up about Donald Trump. Like some stupid thing he said or did. I don't understand these people's mindsets to say that Biden was the root of all evil or some shit.
But now we're experiencing the resurrection part.
Oh, that was the end. Maybe I'll just tack it on the end of the last one. Anyway, let's talk about Julie Green, since we have her on screen. If you're unfamiliar, check this one out, 2024.
He says there will be no guilty verdict because there's no crime.
This is when Donald Trump was facing down a guilty verdict against him. I think the 34 felonies he received for falsification of business records or whatever. She says God told her through their communication network that Donald Trump is going to be found not guilty. That is what she said.
He says there will be no guilty verdict because there's no crime. He will not do any time behind their bars and their prisons. No, they will not get what they wanted. No, not at all. We can say, well, that was not true because there was a guilty verdict.
That's right.
Look, he says there will be no guilty verdict because when somebody is exonerated, it's like it never existed in the first place.
No, that's not how that works. There was a guilty verdict. Plain and simple. She has a cascade of false prophecies that are truly, deeply, honestly entertaining as fucking shit to watch.
Woe to...
Hold on, let me turn this one up too. Actually, let me turn all of them up while I'm thinking about it. Hold on. I should really just set it to halfway by default. Okay.
Woe to the enemies of Almighty God. You are laughing, thinking you got what you desired. I will tell you, I will have the last laugh. Your verdict is a joke, an illusion. It's not real.
Your verdict for the 34 felonies or whatever it was against Trump is not real.
Because it's not true. I will show you whose verdict really counts. My son is not guilty, and the world will see that is true.
Wait, my son. So this is God speaking. Is she saying that Trump is the son of God? Is that what she means by that? She genuinely believes he is the Messiah. I mean, this specific individual believes that about Trump.
They will see your kangaroo courts and how they are a joke and how they are nothing against me. I am the judge over all the earth, and my court rules over yours. I have warned you to back off. I have warned you to quit, but you refused.
So this is her throwing a temper tantrum because she was wrong when she prophesied that Trump would not receive a guilty verdict. She's throwing a temper tantrum and threatening people like me who are pointing out how fucking vile it is for her to lie to her audience like that and claim that she hears the voice of God.
Don't get comfortable celebrating because it won't last that long. Again, I say, you do not have my David where you want him.
My David is Trump, of course.
But I have you where I want you. I will open the doors wide and show the world a sham of a case this was.
Okay, well, that hasn't happened. There was nothing, quote, shammy about the case. Donald Trump was most definitely guilty. And I truly, honestly cannot believe that she defends a literal pedophile rapist like this. She will go to any fucking lengths to defend this piece of shit.
I will show your place. You have brought your indictments. You have brought your supposed charges against him. You have proclaimed him guilty. Well, you will see. You can't get past me.
Boy, I'm shaking. I am shaking in my boots right now. We can't get past Julie Green and or God.
Won't last. Your joyful laughter and smug actions in front of your cameras. Your show is about to end. And my children are about to laugh. And they will see you fail. And they will see you exposed.
Boy, she was really upset that Donald Trump was charged and convicted on 34 felonies, right? Anyway, that's not the only insane shit that Julie Green has said or done, believe it or not. She made a false prophecy about Adam Schiff of all fucking people. Why does God give her this message about Adam Schiff? Because Donald Trump doesn't like him, of course, and God only really pays attention to what Donald Trump wants or needs or likes, as we know.
Adam Schiff, how shifty you are. A weasel, a rat. You sold this nation out and formulated plans to throw out my son from his rightful position as president.
My son, Donald Trump. You formulated plans to throw out my son, the son of God, presumably, Donald Trump.
You thought you were so clever and couldn't be caught. Well, I will shine my spotlight on you, and all will see the proof of your disgusting acts against my son, the true president, and also your part in selling my nation to China for your protection.
What? My God, this has got to be a genuine medical condition, right? Like, this should be added to the DSM-5. No joke. Trump derangement syndrome. No, not Trump derangement syndrome, but some kind of derangement syndrome where people become so obsessed with another individual that they are literally believe that they are hearing the voice of God talking to them about this person. This is 2022, by the way.
Just like the United States was to sink like the Titanic, you were supposed to be set for life because of the part you played. Yes, China is selling you out, and I will show the world who you are. You too will be tried for treason. You will also pay with your life. Nothing can save you now. Adam Schiff, for your shifty deals have cost you your life, and nothing can change your future.
Cost you your life? So she's saying that God told her that Adam Schiff was going to die, that God was going to kill him. This was 4 years ago. What happened? Did he forget?
Chuck Schumer, your story is similar to that of Nancy, Adam, Mitch McConnell, Mitt Romney, and Obama. You are all the same, evil
Notice it's all people that Trump just doesn't like for some arbitrary reason.
to your core, and you sold your souls to China and to the devil himself. You will pay with your lives, but not before your judgments, and you will lose everything you hold dear to you. You have received your indictments, and you know your days are numbered here on this earth.
By the way, she knows and has had Eric Trump on her podcast or whatever it is, and Don Jr., and a bunch of really, really influential, powerful people, FYI.
None of you will enjoy your last days. My mighty army comes for you to remove you from your places of power and where you sleep.
Any 5 minutes now.
These are the days of Haman. You wanted death for my nation and my children, but instead you will reap your harvest, though not before you see your nightmares come to pass. My son will return and will be put back in his rightful seat. You will all pay with your lives, and your plans will not succeed.
She was a full-blown QAnoner at this moment. She believed to the bottom of her heart that there was going to be this massive storm, this reckoning that was going to happen, and all of these people were going to go to jail. Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and all of them.
I, the great I am passing judgment, and it is time for you to reap all what you have sown in one time, all at one time.
Get fucking help, seriously. Anyway, so yeah, she is kind of regaining influence at the moment, especially since YouTube allowed her back on the platform. Jesus Christ, dude, this is insane. When things look bleak, like Donald Trump is fucking destroying the country, I just remember that in 10 years, we're never going to have to hear this dude's name again. Ever again. It's fucking insufferable. Tell me what you think in the comments. Whoop. All right, we hit LeMayer and Julie Green. Now let's hit... We hit... Oh, shoot, I forgot to hit the UFO thing. Let's add this to the end of the UFO episode. There's this Christian website, Charisma. Is what it's called, like Charisma Magazine or whatever. They're talking about the UFO thing here too. Actually, let me write the timestamps down real fast before I forget. It is where are my timestamps? Shit. Hang on. I'm sorry. Nope. Okay. Timestamps. UFOs. Julie Green. Heaven's Gate. Back to UFOs for a second. All right, 25 to 39, I think. $45 to $58. All right. And then 58. There's this website, Charisma. It's like this Christian website, I believe. They're talking about the UFO thing too here. Christians raise spiritual questions. As curiosity surrounding UFOs grows, some believers are asking whether these phenomena could involve spiritual deception rather than visitors from another world. Notice how they're framing it. Some believers are asking. Who? This is a propaganda technique. When you don't have a source and you want to make it seem more legitimate than it is, it's not just the crackpots, it's some believers asking these questions. Anyway, it says the Daily Mail article noted that online discussions quickly emerged comparing the mysterious object to imagery connected to angels. From the stupid UFO files. Oh my God. Heavenly signs and supernatural manifestations described throughout Scripture that possibly carries significant spiritual implications. I'm so confused about the way this is structured. The Bible consistently warns believers to exercise discernment when encountering supernatural experiences. 1 John 4:1 instructs Christians to test the spirits to see whether they are from God, while 2 Corinthians 11:14 warns that Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. A culture fascinated with the unknown. The renewed attention surrounding Pentagon UFO disclosures comes at a time when interest in the supernatural appears to be accelerating worldwide. Yet, many believers see a deeper spiritual warning beneath the headlines. The growing obsession with UFOs reflects humanity's hunger for answers beyond this world. Oh, yes. So it's a sign that Christianity is the answer to everything, right? Okay. But Scripture already points believers to the ultimate truth. Christ alone is the source of salvation, wisdom, and eternal hope. Yeah, totally. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments. These people seriously need help. Now, what do I want to cover next? Let's hit Trump phones next. Or I could hit the Trump dedication statue next.
I want to make sure everyone can hear.
All right, let me pull up a couple more videos real fast. Hold on. And then one more. Ugh. Here we are. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Donald Trump has a new golden statue.
Okay, sir.
Hello, everybody. I want to thank you so much for being there today, and more importantly, for what you did. The statue is beautiful. You know, I saw it during the weekend. We had a big PGA tournament with a great champion, and all great champions, actually, but it was a great tournament, and I got to look at it very closely, and it's incredible. And I just want to thank you. I know it was done from love, and I want to thank Mark Burns, a pastor. He's a good pastor. He's a good man.
Jesus Christ, dude. Mark Burns? I know Mark Burns, and he's out of his fucking gourd. Maybe we'll play a clip from him in a second.
And I've known him a long time. He's been with me from the beginning, right from the beginning. Maybe about 2 days later, right? 2 days.
Right, Mr. President.
he was right at the beginning, and I appreciate it, Mark. You're great, and just really a good person. And I want to thank everybody there. I don't know, here there's a good crowd of people, but I want to thank you all, and I won't forget.
Like, seriously, is this not identical? Like, is this not identical to the golden calf? Is that not exactly what's happening right now? The golden calf? Didn't the Bible explicitly warn against building golden statues of shit like this? Like, if there's one lesson that you learn, top 3 lessons from the Old Testament. Don't eat shellfish. Don't talk to burning bushes. Don't build golden statues. Right? What the fuck are these people doing? And how is it that Trump supporters don't see this for what it is? This is effectively the Antichrist, right? He's ticking all the boxes. At this point, I don't even believe in the Antichrist. But at this point, I'm convinced that he's doing this on purpose. He's trying to be the Antichrist because he wants to really fuck people over. Just because that's what he enjoys doing with his time.
And we love you all, and the country's doing great, and Iran is not doing good because of us. They are not doing well at all, and good things are happening, and I just want to really give you my love, and I wish I could be there where we want to make sure everything is going perfect on the war front. I think you can understand that, but we'll see you all around. I just want to, again, everybody is taking pictures of it. My people told me that it's unbelievable. All day long they're taking pictures. They stand up next to it and they have their picture taken.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like, they're worshiping it almost, right? A little bit. It's kind of like that. Again, that's not the only time he's had a golden statue built of himself. This one is from CPAC 2021. Yeah, CPAC 2021, I believe. This is legit a golden statue of Donald Trump with American flag shorts on. People taking pictures with it. How is this not exactly what the Old Testament warned against? And, you know, like, I don't believe in any of this. Like I said, I do not believe in the Antichrist. I'm an atheist, okay? I don't believe in any of this Christian shit. But watching people turn against, or I'm sorry, but watching people be, infatuated with him, maybe, and completely flip from one side to another the way that they have, If anything were to convince me that he's the Antichrist, it would be how people treat him. Listen to J.D. Vance talk about Donald Trump before he became the vice president. This isn't just Vance either. This is a bunch of people.
It's that Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person.
There is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
It's typical Trump. All bluster, very little substance. He talks a tough game.
And for you,
So that's Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance. This is Tulsi Gabbard.
To think that you can pimp out our proud servicemen and women to the Prince of Saudi Arabia is disgraceful, and it once again shows that you are unfit to serve as our commander-in-chief.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. It makes you think that at a fundamental level, this is sort of a he said, she said, right? And at the end of the day, do you believe Donald Trump, who always tells the truth? Just kidding. Or do you believe that woman on that tape?
He's an armchair tough guy. I hate to say it, but this is a guy who said that John McCain is not a war hero, yet he sought his own 5 military deferments.
There is nothing in our Constitution that gives you the power to go to war without the express consent of Congress.
This is the most important government job on the planet. We're about to turn over the conservative movement to a person that has no ideas of any substance on the important issues, the nuclear codes of the United States, to an erratic individual.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I think there's a chance, if I feel like Trump has a really good chance of winning, that I might have to hold my nose and vote for Hillary Clinton. I think that I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
My fellow service members and I, we are not your prostitutes. You are not our pimp.
That shit's wild, right? Isn't that interesting? They have completely flipped. This is a full-blown cult. They have, I mean, to say that you dislike Trump that much and then become the vice president, what the fuck? Absolutely insane. Hang on, how long is it? This is 108. Yeah. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments. It's just wild to watch this unfold in front of us. And for people to deny that he's the Antichrist, for Christians who deny that he's the Antichrist, it just does not compute to me. Let's see. The golden statue finished. All right, let's open Trump phones. Hold on. Okay. So Donald Trump's Trump phones, those golden Trump phones, you know, they're not coming. People put $100 down as a deposit on these Trump phones, and they're not coming. I mean, I think that there's a chance. I don't know that they've canceled the program fully yet. I'm not sure. I heard that they had, but either way, they're literally like a year late. And all of the people who put $100 down as a deposit, all 600,000 of them are still left without a phone up to this very moment. And they're not happy.
Hey, Trump supporter here.
Nope. Turn this up. Sorry. Turn this one up too. And this one. Awesome.
Hey, Trump supporter here. This goes out to Don Jr. and Eric. Where the fuck's my phones? I ordered 4 gold Trump phones in the summer. Told they're going to be the best. Talked my son into ordering some.
You dumb son of a bitch. You really did fall for this garbage, didn't you? I'm sorry, man. I just have no sympathy for people like this. Did you really not realize that he was a scammer, a con artist? You didn't see that coming from a mile away? You're the biggest sucker on planet Earth.
We heard they're going to come out in September. Yeah, we can fucking wait. September rolls around. No, it's going to be November. No, it's going to be the end of the year. They actually stopped taking orders for them in November. Now we can't get any fucking updates on them. Now, we got all this fraud going on in Minnesota, and I hope a lot of fucking people go to jail. But 590,000 people buying a phone at $500 or $600 each, add that the fuck up. Just the down payments of $100 is 60 fucking million. Give me my fucking phones or give me my money back.
Yeah, and the I'm sorry, dude. You had that one coming. Okay, you asked for that one. And the fine print on the deposit says they have no obligation to return the deposit. So just picked a whole bouquet of oopsie daisies on that one, didn't you? This is the actual announcement all the way back in a year ago, June 2025. June 2025, they announced that they were working on a phone, a Trump phone, that was going to be fully made in America. Like, all of this is absurd. There is no way for that. We don't have the materials in America to build the phone. You know, the digitizer, the thing that goes under the glass on the screen that detects your finger movement or whatever, that, I believe, I could be mistaken, I think that requires rare earth minerals. You can't just get that shit anywhere. You need to get that elsewhere, and on top of that, you can't just assemble that anywhere. You need people who are capable of doing it, who know how to assemble that shit, and have the right equipment for it. You know, like China, for example. They have the equipment, the know-how, and the materials. You can't just build a fucking smartphone in America. It does not work that way, dumbass. Anyway, listen to Eric. Yes, this is Eric. Listen to Eric Trump talk about this new phone, this new announcement here.
This morning, you've got an announcement on a new phone. Tell me about that and what you're looking to, quote unquote, correct here.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Maria, more and more we're using technology as a company, right, to correct the problems. Obviously, Truth Social was to correct freedom of speech, right? I mean, he lost his throughout the political process. Obviously, crypto, and we've got the biggest projects in crypto, was to correct another problem, which is the fact that they were debanking all conservatives. I was the most...
Fucking please, first of all, no one is getting debanked unless they're an actual literal terrorist, which, you know, happens. Like, Nick Fuentes was debanked, rightfully so. He was a literal fucking terrorist. On January 6th, I think he was debanked for that. He's also on the no-fly list. If Trump supporters are getting debanked, maybe ask yourself why that's happening specifically to Trump supporters and not conservatives generally, for example. Do you think maybe there's a defining quality about these people that kind of makes people not want to work with them anymore because they're fucking psychotic? Aside from that, crypto is not a banking system. Like, you can't use crypto as a fucking bank. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, the premise is nonsensical. The whole premise.
Canceled person probably in the history of the country. And
I'm sorry, one more.
The fact that they were debanking all conservatives. I was the most canceled person probably in the history of the country. And
you were the most canceled person in the history of the country? Fucking please.
And now we're doing Trump Mobile, and Trump Mobile is going to revolutionize cell phones, mobile calling. We're going to do it better. We're going to do it safer. We're going to have more functionality, more features. And the coolest thing about all these ventures is we're doing it right here in the United States. You're not calling up call centers in Bangladesh. You're not, you're doing it right out of St. Louis, Missouri. And you're going to have phones that are made right here in the United States of America, and they're going to have...
Turns out you can't do that, and you're a dumbass.
It's going to be cheaper, $47 a month. You're going to have more international dialing for free, hundreds of countries, international dialing for free. It is the biggest bang for the buck. And
wait, why would you have international dialing? if you're a real patriots don't know anybody outside the United States, right? Because the United States is the best. Is that right?
And we're really excited to get into the space. I mean, when you take kind of technology, obviously.
Hey, let's charge people extra for talking outside the U.S. to own the libs.
Real estate's always been our bread and butter, but when you take the technology world between the social platforms, the actual hard devices, which is really what Trump Mobile is, and then kind of the true retail banking, CeFi, DeFi, worlds of cryptocurrency, which is no question where the world is going. I really believe we're going to have one of the great kind of tech platforms as part of the Trump organization of any company in the world, and I couldn't be more proud of Trump Mobile.
So
I wonder if he still feels that way. You still proud of Trump Mobile there, Eric? That is Eric, right? Yeah. I don't see Coke on his nose. I'm pretty sure that's Eric. I don't know. Eric probably does a lot of Coke too. Who knows? Let's see. Do I have another clip on this? Somebody else gave an analysis of this video from this poor dumb fool who lost everything. Check this clip out.
Only a Trump supporter.
Jesus, sorry. That's really loud. Let me turn that down.
Is.
Give me my fucking phones or give me my
Wait, gotta turn it up just a bit here.
money back.
Only a Trump supporter is IQ deficient enough to look at Donald Trump's long track record of fraudulent business practices and then go put a $100 deposit down on his T1 phone that hasn't even been manufactured yet. 590,000 individuals put $100 of their hard-earned money down on these phones. And Donald Trump said, oh, we'll have it done in 2 months. And he said, oh, it'll be another 2 months. And then those 2 months turned into an updated clause on his, the deposit clause on his website, April 6th, last month, that states just because you put a $100 deposit down on this phone doesn't mean it'll ever be manufactured or that you will ever get it. So effectively, Donald Trump and his sons just stole $60 million
Those people would be really upset if they could read.
from their own supporters. That's right. And you want to know what's even more IQ deficient? Is these people will continue to support him. For crying out loud, the man still has outstanding balances to venues he rented during his campaign rallies, okay?
In 2016, yes. He never paid certain venues for his campaign rallies. He just never fucking paid them. He is like fucking disgusting. As a human being. Unacceptably fucking disgusting. He doesn't live up to his obligations and he's got plenty of money. He could just pay his fucking bills. How does he get away with this shit?
You looked at that and said it was a good idea. I got news for you. You'll get those T1 phones the same day you get your fucking Doge checks. That's never. My name is Mercedes Chandler.
I don't know about that. It's not actually Donald Trump who's running the company. I think it's Eric Trump who is kind of integrated into the whole system over there at Trump Mobile. I think Trump is basically licensing his name and Eric is endorsing the product on their behalf, and there's somebody completely unrelated running it, like unconnected to Donald Trump. It's basically just a licensing deal, to my understanding. So anyway, I think there's a higher chance that they will get their phones than there is of getting a Doge check. There is no way in hell anybody's getting a fucking Doge check. It's not happening, obviously. But yeah, I can't believe these suckers fell for it. Again, over and over and over again. Are they ever going to learn? Until Trump is in the ground, I say no, they're never going to learn. They're just going to keep giving him their money until they're fucking broke. Tell me what you think in the comments. All right, that's 120. That one was also pretty short, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's see. So we got the Trump phones. Robert Jeffress. I think I could put Jeffress on my main channel. I'm just thinking here. What have I covered so far? Heaven's Gate, UFOs, Julie Green, Trump phones. Let me check, actually. Give me a second to check Right Wing Watch real fast. Oh, the Jehovah's Witnesses. I forgot about that. Yeah. We might cover that. Hold on. I want to cover something overtly religious.
Politician preaches.
Just a second here.
Rob Reiner. I prayed for Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner attacked me, attacked Trump, said I was a dangerous Christian nationalist.
Well, he is.
Son, a woman who came here as a maid, the lowest of jobs.
Okay. What a piece of shit.
Of having a civil society.
Let me check Hemet Meta real fast. There was something else I wanted to cover here. What the hell is this? What am I looking at right now? What is this? Katie Britt posted this picture? This is weird. This is fucking disturbing. Okay, what's this?
I was told by my wife, you have to act presidential, so don't use foul language. I won't. Therefore, normally I would have said it was a shit house, but I don't want to.
I'm doing the exact thing I promised my wife I wouldn't do. That is so super funny. OMG.
A lot lately, especially thanks to last week's Voting Rights Act decision. If you haven't heard, it was a 6-3 decision in the case of white people versus everybody, and you'll never guess who they ruled in favour of. It's been in the news a lot.
That's kind of funny.
Nor should there be anything controversial about.
Hold on, I'm just looking what's
Reaction immediately was to her, "You're a terrible person." And he didn't just think it. Like any politician, that's exactly what they're thinking. He just says it. Like, if that's what's in his head, you're a horrible person. You're a disgrace. You're a horrible. And it's like, it's at the same time horrifying and also like, it's kind of like refreshing. It's shockingly the honesty. As someone who loves honesty and has made my career about it as much as I could, it is, there's some level of it where you tip your hat and you go, wow.
No, it's not. Like, people who are honest, like way, way more honest than they should be. People who have dementia. I don't think that's Donald Trump necessarily, honestly. I really don't think that he has dementia. But, that's an example of somebody who is quote unquote honest. And it's disconcerting. It's a problem. It's not good. There should be a filter. These people do not have filters. Like Donald Trump doesn't have a filter. Dementia patients don't have filters like this. That's not refreshing. That's concerning for his mental health. What is wrong with this dude? What's this?
Briefing from health officials at 10 a.m. Eastern. What are you hoping to hear? And how worried are you by this story?
Well, I'm not worried. I have complete confidence in the Trump administration. I think we learned.
You do?
Learned a lot of lessons, hopefully, from the COVID pandemic. And I know they're taking this very seriously. And hopefully this won't spread and this will be an isolated incident. And we can learn from this and hopefully educate other countries on how to contain this.
Yeah.
Regarding the hantavirus, I understand from what I've been told, the hantavirus is not like COVID at all. And it's not something that we need to worry about spreading like COVID. The only reason that COVID was capable of spreading as quickly as it was because of the low mortality rate. There's a threshold between mortality rate and how quickly something spreads where it will be limited in its reach if it's too deadly, because it'll kill people faster than they can spread it. So the hantavirus falls in that category where it's not likely to become a pandemic like COVID did because it's so deadly. But, you know, who knows? I'm not an expert. I made predictions about COVID that I was pretty confident were going to happen, and then they didn't happen, and I was wrong. And so that's what, you know, that's part of the game. When you're not an expert on something, you're wrong on things a lot of the time. So who knows? Maybe hantavirus will genuinely be another pandemic for all I know. And maybe I'll, you know, find myself reviewing the live stream in 2 or 3 years and be like, oh, how quaint. How quaint was that? Okay, let me check. Wait. Was it Daystar's Joni Lamb dies? Yes, Joni Lamb. I remember her. Let's see. Daystar. I know I have stuff on Daystar. I thought I did. Maybe I don't. Let me pull up the twit. Joni Lamb. What's this?
Hello.
Susie, daughter-in-law. Brutal internet. Yeah, what's this?
Everyone. I wanted to take a few minutes today to speak from my heart to the Daystar family and friends. Recently, Daystar made the decision to terminate my son, Jonathan Lamb's employment. That decision was not taken lightly. It followed a 15-month...
Hang on.
Recently, Daystar made the decision to terminate my son, Jonathan Lamb's employment. That decision was not taken lightly. It followed a 15-month review of Jonathan's performance and his refusal to take any steps to satisfy a detailed performance improvement plan put in place. He also refused my offer to participate in a formal mediation to resolve grievances in a biblical and professional manner. Rather than take any steps to improve his performance at Daystar, it seems clear now that Jonathan was focused on...
Okay, hang on. Oh shit. Oh shit. This is a drama that I wasn't aware of. Okay. Give me a second. We're going to talk about this. This is Joni Lamb. She just died. She was a televangelist on Daystar, which is like this Christian broadcasting network or whatever. I just want to do a little bit of throwback. Talk about Joni Lamb. This is a video of her announcing that her son was fired. Why was her son fired from Daystar, I hear you asking? Here's the answer. After Marcus Lamb, her husband, died of COVID in 2021, yes, they were COVID denialists, a power struggle erupted over Daystar. In 2023, Joni, this woman here, married Doug Weiss, a sex therapist and Daystar guest, which caused a rift. Her son Jonathan opposed the marriage, arguing Weiss hadn't divorced his previous wife on biblical grounds. Oh shit, that's a big deal. These are televangelists, okay? They're supposed to be the holiest of the holy people, right? We all know they're not, but they're supposed to be. Then it got much darker. Jonathan and his wife Susie accused Joni of covering up the alleged sexual abuse of their young daughter by a male family member, claiming Joni sided with the man to protect the family's reputation. Holy shit, dude. Jonathan said he was demoted and eventually fired because he refused to sign an NDA that would prevent him from speaking about the abuse. The firing happened on November 16th, 2024, one day after reporter Julie Roys contacted Daystar for comment on Jonathan's allegations. The timing is bad. Joni claimed the termination followed a 15-month review of his performance and accused Jonathan of fabricating a smear campaign. Okay, so this is the video where she announced that Jonathan was being fired. I think I downloaded it already. Yes, I did. Open.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to take a few minutes today to speak from my heart to the Daystar family.
He's going to turn it up a bit here. Step back. All right, 1 second. I'm just getting some info.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to take a few minutes today to speak from my heart to the Daystar family and friends. Recently, Daystar made the decision to terminate my son, Jonathan Lamb's employment. That decision was not taken lightly. It followed a 15-month review of Jonathan's performance and his refusal to take any steps to satisfy a detailed performance improvement plan.
So this is a lie, as far as I can tell. This is very obviously corporate HR framing, right? This is just damage control garbage. Based on the reporting, Jonathan was fired the day after Julie Royce contacted Daystar for comment on the abuse allegations that Jonathan made. Yeah, I'm sure it followed a 15-month investigation. Absolutely.
Put in place. He also refused my offer to participate in a formal mediation to resolve grievances in a biblical and professional manner. Rather than take any steps to improve his performance at Daystar, it seems clear now that Jonathan was focused on fabricating a smear campaign.
So this whole biblical professional manner bit, she's framing him as the unreasonable party and framing it as though he's refusing to mediate or be biblical. He's the anti-biblical satanic one in this scenario, right? Not the woman who was having an affair with somebody who was already married, not somebody who had just lost her husband and was getting into this relationship with some random dude who was like a star, conflict of interest, the whole 9 yards. No, it's Jonathan. Jonathan is the problem in this scenario, right? And he's fabricating a smear campaign. Absolutely. So there's this book on media and like doing interviews and things like that. It's called The Media Training Bible, I think, possibly. Anyway, it talks about how you do this. You frame this as not your fault, and then you go on the offense and start blaming the other person for something. You frame it like they're the crazy one, like they have the problem, and that you're the victim. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Darvo. Classic media damage control tactic.
You see, Jonathan was extremely disappointed that he was not named the future president of Daystar following the death of his father and my husband, Marcus Lamb, despite the fact that Marcus had given a clear directive to the family and to the board that I would succeed him as president.
Okay, Jonathan never said a word about that. Nobody has ever accused him of anything even approximating that up until this very moment, like right now, first of all. And second, she's offering a secondary motive. She's blaming him and now offering a secondary motive. That's how these damage control things work. To do something like this over your son, how fucking dirty is that? Right? Like, how disgusting and vile is that? And you call yourself a woman of God?
Jonathan's disappointment in not getting his way only deepened when I married Dr. Doug Weiss, who has been such a blessing to me, the rest of my family, and Daystar.
Yeah, she's attacking his motives, saying he's acting in bad faith.
I can tell you that as a mother, as a grandmother, this situation saddens me deeply, and it grieves my heart because...
This is also calculated. She's trying to connect with the audience that's listening. I'm a grandmother. I'm a mother. I understand. I can feel her position. It's so calculated and dirty and fucking vile, dude.
I love my family. I love all my children. I love my grandchildren. I love the work we've done together for so many years. And I had hoped that we could have resolved the situation in private.
She's calling him a drama queen who's dragging dirty laundry out into the open for no reason.
But now, Jonathan has given me no choice except to speak out. Everyone knows that we have dedicated our lives to spreading the love of Jesus, and to see it attacked by my son Jonathan and his wife is truly heartbreaking. I want to assure you that all the allegations that are circulating against myself and my late husband are completely false. We have already begun to take legal steps to defend ourselves, and we will address the accusations in a God-honoring way.
That was a lie. They didn't take any legal steps. This was just plainly a threat. This is basically her saying, Jonathan, if you don't leave me alone, then blah, 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 I'm going to come get you, or some stupid shit. They never filed a lawsuit. This was literal years ago. They never filed a lawsuit against him. These people were dirty. To the core. From top to bottom, absolutely dirty. What's this?
Joseph.
Oh, that's Joseph Z. Oh, he's psychotic, dude. What's this?
Joseph Z. gives Joni Lamb a false prophetic word before her death.
For I am the Lord your God, and I do not fail. And I hear these words in my spirit. I gotta say this. First of all, I love this network. It's changing the world. But I heard these words, and I'm being obedient to the Lord. Joni Lamb, the Lord says you...
Wait, was Joseph Z on Daystar? I didn't know that. Interesting.
Lord. Joni Lamb, the Lord says you have passed, and you are coming to the other side now. And for God Almighty is saying, have I not given you the crown? Have I not given you the scepter? And will you not gain a second scepter, says the Lord? I'm bringing a second scepter into your hand.
Like, what the fuck does that mean? What is he talking about? I'm bringing a second scepter? What? This is just complete and total nonsense.
For my eyes have seen and my ears have heard, and I know this hour, and I have predestined it for you and this season that you're walking in. So the blessing of the Lord is upon this platform. The blessing of the Lord is upon this ministry, and God is saying, I reside here. And strength is upon you, Joni. Strength is upon you, Doug. And what the enemy has meant for evil, the Lord God Almighty of heaven is going to turn it around for your good, and he's going to make it better than it was in the first place.
Yep, totally.
I see God's hand of favor upon you. Righteousness exalts a nation. And I call you a Deborah. I call you not only an Esther, but I call you a warrior in the house of God.
Bro, these people are so fucking weird. I swear to God, they are so fucking weird. There's just this weird evangelical culture that exists that I do not understand. Anyway, Joni Lamb has passed away. Rest in peace. I try not to speak ill of the dead, but, you know, when they were scumbags when they were living, I'm sorry. You built your own reputation with that one, seems to me. Tell me what you think in the comments. All right, that one can go on my main channel, I think. Let's see, how long was that anyway? That was 138, 120 to 138. Is that right? 120. That seems a lot longer than... $25. That may actually be a little bit short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's talk about Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, first, let's see what Greg Locke is up to right now. Greg Locke. People here. What's he doing? Other than shilling for Israel, not much. Wow, this is interesting. Check this out. On Greg Locke's Twitter account or whatever, a picture of Israel on the left and Egypt on the right. One is a barren desert. The other is green and lush and beautiful, separated by a wall. And it's AI generated. He says, God brought them out. God promised prosperity and protection. This picture is a perfect example of Israel's past, present, and future. They will not be destroyed, and God's covenant will never be broken. The claim is that Israel is fertile and green and beautiful and all of that because God's people are there, and that's part of the prophecy. And Egypt is not God's land with God's people in it, so it's destitute and terrible and dark and dreary and everything. But that's complete nonsense. Like, this image is AI generated. It is fake. Leave it to Greg Locke to lie like this. Fucking vile. This image is AI generated. No such location exists along the Egyptian-Israeli border. All right, let's talk about Jehovah's Witnesses real fast. There's an article by Hemant Mehta. There's an article by Hemant Mehta. Norway's highest court upholds state funding for Jehovah's Witnesses. This is actually a loss for us. It's disappointing to see Norway upheld Jehovah's Witnesses. All right, let me rephrase. Norway gives religious institutions a lot of privileges, up to and including, I believe, money, like stipends. Like they pay religious organizations proportional to their member base in Norway. And Jehovah's Witnesses lost their status as a religion a while back over shunning children. And they just won in court, reestablishing them as a religion in Norway, which means they get that stipend again. Let's talk about the article from Hemant Mehta's website. Norway's highest court upholds state funding for Jehovah's Witnesses. The Supreme Court of Norway has, unfortunately, upheld a ruling that Jehovah's Witnesses are entitled to taxpayer-funded subsidies by the government and the ability to perform legal marriages. A lower court has rescinded the JW's religious community status years ago, a major victory for those who see it as a cult, but an appellate ruling and now this Supreme Court decision have restored the witnesses to the level of all other religions despite their extreme practices. Norway's odd relationship with the religion. Norway, which has a national church but no longer has a national religion, is one of those countries where a religion is literally supported by taxpayers. The more members you have, the more money your preferred religious or humanist organization receives. Any religious group with 50 registered members is allowed to apply for state subsidies. The 736 groups received that kind of funding. That received that kind of funding in 736 groups received that kind of funding in 2022. The law is very open regarding the kinds of religious or non-religious groups that can receive that money. However, there are some lines in the sand. If a religious or philosophical community or individuals acting on behalf of the community commit violence or coercion, make threats, violate children's rights, violate statutory discrimination prohibitions, or in other ways seriously violates the rights and freedoms of others, society may be denied grants or grants may be suspended. Grants may also be refused or reduced if society charges blah, blah, blah. Hemant Mehta continues, that makes sense. A group that endorses violence shouldn't get taxpayer money, nor should any group hurting children or violating human rights. Sure, there are atheists who might argue any form of religious indoctrination is child abuse, but these rules are theoretically limited to things that are irrefutable and not up for debate. The line that was drawn with Jehovah's Witnesses, they were shunning children. They have rules about shunning children, specifically how you are supposed to shun children, how you treat children who have been disfellowshipped, that kind of thing. You know, they're not allowed to eat with the family. If you're having a family dinner, the child goes to their bedroom to eat. That type of shit. That's in the literature. That's unforgivable in my mind. I don't know how anybody could justify that. Anyway, let's continue. The Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway. According to the Norwegian government's Ministry of Children and Family Affairs, in 2021, there were 12,686 registered Jehovah's Witnesses in the country. That number meant taxpayers were on the hook to give the witnesses more than NOK 16 million, roughly 1.7 million in US dollars at the time, in support. About $140 per member. God damn. In 2021, the government also said it would begin looking into the witnesses after 2 former members and a separate anonymous whistleblower sent letters explaining that the witnesses were in violation of the rules. It's not that the JW beliefs were secret, but rather the government officials needed to act deliberately and get their paperwork in order before they could take any kind of action. Those letters got the ball rolling. Some of those claims were open to debate. For example, the witnesses say members can't get involved in politics, which is why Jehovah's Witnesses never vote in elections. One former member argued that since voting in an election could lead to expulsion by the witnesses, which meant members couldn't interact with you anymore, the no voting rule qualified as a violation of the law. The witnesses responded by saying they had every right to set their own policies, and if someone wanted to vote, they were freely deciding to leave the fold. There's nothing coercive about it. Are you fucking kidding me with this? There's nothing coercive about it. There's a loud car, sorry. Nothing coercive about it. I'm just telling you, if you don't follow my rules, no coercion, we're just going to take away everybody you ever knew and loved since the day you were born. We're going to prevent them from ever speaking to you again until the day you fucking die. That's all. It's not a big deal. Not coercion. Right. The concerns about Jehovah's Witnesses. In a written statement from the state administrator in Oslo and Viken, there were 2 Jehovah's Witnesses beliefs that were particularly egregious as far as the law went. 1. The witnesses engage in the practice of disfellowshipping. That means former Jehovah's Witnesses who leave the religion are effectively excommunicated, and members are told not to have any interactions with them. The idea here is that the former members will get so lonely or depressed that they'll eventually come crawling back. There's no shortage of families that have been torn apart because of this, up to and including my own family. The state administrator wrote that Norwegian law requires all religions that receive government subsidies to practice a right to free withdrawal. If there's a serious obstacle to leaving a religion, that's arguably a violation. Disfellowshipping, the administrator wrote, can cause members to feel pressured to remain in the faith community. They're getting paid per head in the religion, right? There's a head count that they follow, and they're being paid based on that number of heads that are in the religion. How is this not, like, tripping all kinds of problems for Norway? How do they not see this as an issue? They are forcing members to remain in the religion, or they will lose everybody and everything that they ever knew or loved. This is like the clearest cut case of violating people's personal rights and freedoms that I have ever seen in my fucking life, right? Is it not? What was Norway thinking, letting them off the hook with this? This shit is wild. Number 2, a similar policy applied to children. If a child in a JW family, quote, makes it a habit to break the moral standards of the Bible and does not repent, unquote, the witnesses teach, they are also to be treated as pariahs. That means a young teenager, baptized or not, who quits the religion is subject to exclusion from religious members. While their immediate families don't have to kick them out, but it is encouraged, the state administrator said the witnesses believe that rebellious child can no longer have contact with other close family, including grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, or friends. That puts pressure on the child to remain in the fold, a violation of their own rights under the law. Again, not something the kid signed up for, okay? This is not something that the kid even asked for. They were born into this shit. They didn't have a fucking choice. And now they're being forced to remain a member and to pretend, or they will lose everything and everybody. I cannot understate this. I cannot overstate this. Because of those 2 systematic and intentional offenses, neither of which could be denied by the witnesses themselves, the state administrator concluded that the witnesses were not deserving of the subsidies. They were still allowed to practice their faith. They just wouldn't get taxpayer money for it. That's the bottom line. They Jehovah'd themselves out of nearly $2 million. But that was reversed, I'm sad to say. Hang on, give me a second. I'm scrolling through here. I was just looking for where it... Okay, yeah, let's continue. Because of, yeah, so it says here, this is a quote, "The appeal process will give us an opportunity to clearly explain why our faith and religious practices fully respect the rights and freedoms of others," which is complete nonsense. It doesn't. It never has. They've made videos about shunning. They pretended that apostates invented the word shunning when videos on their website are titled, you know, "Here's how you shun your fucking daughter," and shit like that. It's worth noting that trials in several lands have confirmed the right of Jehovah's Witnesses to exclude persons who choose not to live by the moral standards of the Bible. Right. It's the moral standards of the Bible, you see, not moral standards of Jehovah's Witnesses, but Jehovah's Witnesses determine what those moral standards are. Right. Okay, got it. The appeal went nowhere because the Jehovah's Witnesses had no actual counterpoint. The witnesses still maintained the right to exclude non-members. What they didn't have is a right to be rewarded for it. For a group of people who want nothing to do with the government, they were incredibly upset over not receiving a government handout. That's a good point. You don't want to be involved in, you know, government life in any way, then you don't get special treatment from the government. That's what they wanted. They wanted special treatment. The decision wasn't unfair, though. The Catholic Church, just to name one example, has its share of problems too, but if you quit the church, there's no formal policy in place designed to make you suffer for it. You might have arguments with family members, and you might struggle with the loss of a community with shared beliefs, at least for a while, but the church itself doesn't go out of its way to make your life worse. Jehovah's Witnesses do. Absolutely. If nothing else, the move by the Norwegian government would hopefully spur other religious groups to take a fresh look at their own policies. If they wanted access to taxpayer money, they needed to play by the rules. Hang on. Got to put some lip chap on. Some lip chap, as my friends in Australia call it, and or New Zealand. All right. Got the lip chap. At the end of 22, the temporary sanctions against Jehovah's Witnesses were made permanent. The state administrator in Oslo and Viken revoked the group's official religious community status, depriving them of those taxpayer funds and the ability to bless marriages that are accepted by the government. It was a far more serious sanction than Witnesses received a year earlier. In a more formal, so here are the highlights of the response. In our opinion, the religious community violates the members' right to freedom of expression. We believe this violates the members' right to freedom of religion. We have come to the conclusion that Jehovah's Witnesses violate the members' right to free expression of religious communities and that they violate children's rights. The society cannot be registered under the Religious Societies Act. In a more formal response, the official explained how the government had taken several steps to give the witnesses a chance to remedy this problem, but there was never any indication the witnesses were going to change their policies. Quote, "The fact that religious community violates its members' right to freedom of expression and thus violates the right to freedom of religion is considered particularly serious. The same applies to the negative social control of children, which violates children's human rights protections under the Convention on the Rights of the Child." As mentioned in the letter, on December 14th, 2022, Jehovah's Witnesses state that practice will not be changed. On this background, we've assessed that the conditions for withdrawing the registration of Jehovah's Witnesses as a registered religious community have been met. So this is back to haven't met to now. There was still an opportunity to appeal the decision, but again, it wasn't clear on what grounds the Jehovah's Witnesses had a case. These really are their beliefs. These really are their policies. Unless they were willing to change the rules of their faith, an appeal wouldn't go anywhere. Ever since that threat was first issued, conservatives in the country made all kinds of slippery slope arguments, suggesting the government was just going after religions they didn't like, as if the Jehovah's Witness funding decision would lead to further funding bans on religious groups that opposed issues like LGBT rights. Government officials quickly rejected that stance and reiterated that the beliefs themselves were irrelevant. It was the undeniable actions of the witnesses that mattered, and that's why they weren't going to receive the subsidies. It's not like Catholics or evangelicals were being targeted here. Although they probably should be, right? But okay. Jehovah's Witnesses sued to prevent the punishment from going into effect. This is the next stage of this disappointing decision. In December 2022, Jehovah's Witnesses of Norway sued over the denial of the state grants and challenged their loss of their religious community status. Even though they were temporarily granted an injunction preventing the punishments from going into effect, the courts removed it months later. So the lawsuits now combined into one continued, and a trial took place in January of 2024. And then came the bombshell. The Oslo District Court announced that the state did nothing wrong in punishing the witnesses. The decision did not give the JW taxpayer funding in 2022 or 2023. The decision to not give JW taxpayer funding in 2022 or 23 was upheld, as was the request to give witnesses the NOK $35 million they had missed out on. The religious organization was also required to pay the state's legal bills, amounting to around 1.1 million, or just over 100,000 US dollars. As one loosely translated article explained, the court concludes that the conditions are met for denying Jehovah's Witnesses state subsidies and registration under the Religious Communities Act, and that the decisions are valid. Now, here's the final verdict. This is what Norway's Supreme Court said. The Norwegian government decided to appeal that decision to the Supreme Court, and that's the decision that has now come down. The witnesses have won the case. They will continue to receive state subsidies. They will be allowed to perform legal marriages, and the shunning will continue without any consequences at all, really. Quote, this is one summary of the situation. The majority of 3 judges found that the practice of exclusion does not constitute undue pressure against members in violation of Article 9 of the ECHR, the European Court of Human Rights. Among other things, emphasis was placed on the fact that the practice is rooted in the teachings of the religious community, is known to the members when they join, and does not involve direct pressure, coercion, or threats. What? Are you fucking kidding me? Known when they join the religion? This happens to children who never fucking joined. It happens to children, period. That was the entire complaint. Did you miss that? This happens to children. They cannot be held responsible for any contract that they sign under 18. If they're not old enough to get married, if they're not old enough to get a tattoo or open a fucking bank account, they cannot make a decision that will affect their lives until it ends. That's what? This fucking drives me insane. Also, the practice is rooted in the teachings of the religious community. Who fucking cares? The teachings are adversely affecting children. And yes, they are pressured and coerced. What do they mean they're not pressured or coerced? I don't understand. This makes no sense. Were they part of the Jehovah's Witness religion, these judges, or something? This is Hemant Mehta. The majority's ruling has a number of questionable statements, like when they say children are aware of the consequences of leaving or being expelled from Jehovah's Witnesses. Are they, though? And just because they may not be kicked out of their own house doesn't make the shunning any less cruel. And yeah, they are encouraged to kick children out. Oftentimes, they'll try to get the children to go live with another family member who's not a Jehovah's Witness. I researched this heavily for my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses. They do whatever they can to get the kid out of the house. They're just no longer a member of the family. Is that they don't eat with them. They don't, read the Bible with them or talk to them regularly. They don't have a good relationship with them because the parent now feels betrayed by the child. I mean, I'm talking 12, younger. They try to get children baptized as young as humanly possible. Jehovah's Witnesses have made videos showing children getting baptized as young as 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old. Beyond that point, it's undisputable that they absolutely coerce and pressure children beyond baptism to stay in the religion. And if they don't, then they lose everything and everybody. Everything and everybody. Again, kicked out of their house. Seriously, I've been covering World War II extensively recently. I'm writing another book about it. It's called God's People, Christian Nationalism in the Third Reich. And I have a chapter on Jehovah's Witnesses and their relationship to, Hitler's government, basically. And as I discovered while writing this chapter, Jehovah's Witnesses seriously, heavily meddled with the official historical record on the Jehovah's Witnesses in World War II. Erased people who signed these renunciation forms. If you signed the renunciation form, the Nazis would let you out, basically. Let you out of the concentration camps. Some people signed. They intentionally, specifically anonymized anybody. I mean, this is the book, the definitive book was written by a legitimate historian, and he allowed Jehovah's Witnesses to edit his book, and they erased anybody from the official historical record who signed the renunciation forms. They're relegated to Anna Marie B. or Erwin Z. He anonymized them. He even gave them fake initials if they signed the renunciation form to end the torture, the Nazi torture. And it fully, I wrote a whole article on this, a whole academic article that I'm going to submit to a journal on this subject. It'll be available in the appendix of my book if you want to read it. But anyway, the point is they meddle with every record that they possibly can. And this sounds identical to what they did in the historical record in Nazi Germany. It sounds like that exact shit. Like they paid one of the judges off to do this for them. Fucking vile. Uh, 45 months I have mental issues, but I got help. Julie, stop. Get help, right? Exactly. Try not to speak ill of the dead, so I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble, right? Yeah, I appreciate the messages, guys. Anyway, let's continue. The majority also said that an adult who's disfellowshipped isn't really suffering because they'll still be a member of broader society. But how is that any consolation when the people you're closest to want nothing to do with you? The psychological torture associated with being kicked out of a religion with these harsh rules is intense. Yeah, that's an understatement. Again, experienced it. They also claim that disfellowshipping does not apply to family members living in the same household. That's just a flat-out, bald-faced fucking lie. They just lied. But that's not my understanding of what happens to adults who leave the religion. Many of them are indeed kicked out of their homes. Yes, 100%. That's just a lie. What about the question of whether shunning the believers goes too far? The majority didn't buy it because they say members already know what they're signing up for. It's hard to believe, it says, quote, although the practice entails indirect pressure against leaving, members are not subjected to direct pressure. Like what? What are you smoking? Such as threats of sanctions in connection with leaving. Furthermore, the shunning practice is rooted in the doctrine itself, which is known to those who join Jehovah's Witnesses. It's hard to believe any of that. For people who grow up in the religion and don't consciously make a choice of joining it from the outside, you begin to believe you're trapped inside with no opportunity to break free. Just because there are no formal sanctions against you doesn't make the shunning any less cruel. And there are sanctions against you. I mean, I don't know how they're using this word exactly, if they're using it in a specific way that I'm not familiar with, but, you know, like when I was kicked out of the religion, I lost my medical insurance and my support network and like literally everything. If I was hungry because I didn't have enough money for food, that I can fuck off and die. That was what it was like. The judges also awarded the witnesses an additional 2.1 million NOK, or 232,000 US dollars in legal fees on top of the earlier ones. It's not clear if the state will have to reimburse the witnesses for years' worth of subsidies they didn't receive. A spokesperson for the witnesses celebrated the decision and claimed it confirmed the reputation of the JWs as people who are loving, caring, and law-abiding citizens, which is easy to say when you ignore the horrific details of what they actually do. And again, like, I'm not going to harp on this, but knowing how they twisted the historical record in World War II seriously fucking infuriates me so much. You don't even know how much that upsets me. That they lied, they twisted things around, and they tried to make themselves look better than they actually are. And they convinced a historian to lie on their behalf. Fucking evil. Evil shit. Unforgivable. If there was anything in me that wondered if the society was actually decent, honest, good people just doing their best, that destroyed it. Seeing what they did to the historical record in World War II. Completely destroyed it. I should make that paper available on YouTube or something, right? If you guys want to read it. Anyway, let's continue here. Honestly, if the witnesses are allowed to receive government subsidies, you have to wonder what it takes for Norway to reject any group that meets its bare bones criteria. How much worse do things have to get before they can refuse to subsidize a group? If there's any position to take from this, perhaps it's that more people will now be aware of one of the most pernicious rules of the religion. The Jehovah's Witnesses, like so many smaller religious groups, thrive on people not knowing how they actually operate. Exposure to those beliefs, especially the shunning and all the mental anguish it causes, doesn't help their side one bit. And people in Norway can take solace in the fact that their government was on the side of justice and decency, even if the Supreme Court's majority was not. As an American, I can only dream, right? And this is the final section. Subsidies have unintended consequences. On a completely different note, all this discussion about Norwegian religious subsidies has led to some fascinating and unintentional effects, mostly because citizens are now wise to the fact that they don't need to prop up churches for which they hold no special allegiance. They still have to pay a church tax, so to speak, which is a very different kind of problem altogether, but less money given to certain institutions means more money for the remaining ones. For example, in 2016, the nation's Evangelical Lutheran Church, wow, interesting, that's the religious organization that existed in Germany during Hitler's reign. It was Lutheran, Evangelical Lutherans that he tried to take over. Launched a website to make it easier to track members and enroll new ones, but the plan backfired after thousands of people used the website to opt out of church membership altogether. Oh shit, depriving the church of that government funding. Considering that roughly 75% of the country were officially members, though, the exodus wasn't all that shocking. They realistically could only go lower. That's funny. There was also a mini scandal in 2015 when the Catholic Church owed the Norwegian government more than $5 million for fraudulently registering thousands of people on its membership lists, precisely because they got taxpayer money for the act of manipulation. Why the fuck does Norway pay organizations? I don't understand. What is the point of that? What an absurd, like, religious organizations are already corrupt as shit. You want to give them the ability to be even more corrupt? You want to facilitate that shit? Are you kidding me? Those weren't just, those weren't just symbolic acts. The reason so many people actively went through the motions of getting off those membership rolls was because they didn't want the government giving those institutions money in their name. There are plenty of people there, as in the United States, who just keep a Catholic or Lutheran label because their families raised them in those traditions, or they simply don't care enough to go through the formal process of changing it. But those subsidies have pushed some Norwegians to formally declare themselves not Catholic or not Lutheran. It just shows you how many religious institutions in Norway have financially benefited from the apathy of many of their own lapsed members. So even if the Jehovah's Witnesses will now get to receive those federal benefits again, it's never too late for former members of that religion or other religions to rip the bandage off for good. Wow. That is really, really disappointing to see that they got that funding back. And what an absolutely wild thing to say by the Norwegian Supreme Court. The Jehovah's Witnesses don't actually mistreat people who leave, and that people know going in what's involved. So which is it? Do they not mistreat people, or do they know they're going to be mistreated? I don't understand. It's like self-contradictory. Shit is wild, man. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Disturbing. All right, that one can go to Maine. And so can... Wait, is 203? No, 212. One Daystar. 1, 2. Yeah. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Anyway, all right. That's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me. It's been fun. I will see you guys on the flippity flip, which is to say Wednesday. Okay? All right. Later, everybody.